Kamikaze Overdrive MMA Predictions UFC 122 is brought to you by Monster Rings and Cages. Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive MMA Predictions for UFC 122. I'd like to welcome Monster Rings and Cages aboard as our newest affiliate. Please check out the link in the description for more information. Looking back at UFC 121, it was by far my best night of predictions since I started my show. I went 6-1 overall, 5-0 on the main card, which meant I had a huge payday, and I see several of my followers that signed up with SportsInteraction.com also had big paydays, so congrats to you guys. And as always, my videos are affiliated with SportsInteraction.com. Please click on the link in the description below to get your free deposit bonus on up to $125. And I'd like to send out a thank you to lowkick.com for supporting my videos and posting my articles on their site. Now let's move on to UFC 122. 122 is a free event and will be the UFC's second show held in Germany, taking place on November 13th, 2010. There are 5 main card fights that I'll be giving my predictions for, and let's get to it. The opening fight of the night is in the UFC light heavyweight division between 20-11-1 Krzysztof Sosinski and 8-2 Goran Reily. This fight is one of the only two on the card that currently have odds posted for it, and Reily is the current betting favorite at $1.75, while Krzysztof is the underdog paying $1.95. Physically, Reily will have a slight advantage, standing 2 inches taller and will hold a 3-inch reach advantage. Looking first at Goran, he has been called the mini Mirko Cro Cop as he trains with the Croatian legend, and it is quite evident where his kickboxing skills come from. His big weapon is his left high kick. In his UFC debut, he peppered Wilson Gouveia with head kicks throughout the fight, finally catching him with a left hook to stop the matchup and pick up the victory. Also in that fight, Reily demonstrated a solid chin, taking some big shots, and was still able to continue. Against Kendall Grove, he had success on his feet, but showed he can take his opponent down if he wants to. What concerned me in that fight is that after scoring the takedown, Reily was fairly inactive on the top and got outworked by his opponent from the bottom. Sosinski is one of my favorite fighters to watch because he always comes to fight. He has pretty good power in his hands and has scored 8 knockouts in his career. He's not a very technical striker, as he likes to wade in with his hands down and throw wild punches hoping to connect. The Canuck also likes to utilize the tie clinch and push his opponents up against the cage. On the mat, he's quite capable with 10 submission wins, and his bread and butter is the Kimura, which he has used on multiple occasions to submit his opponent. In this fight, I think the key will be Reily's kicks. Krzysztof struggled with the technical striking of Brandon Vera and became very tentative with his own striking when Vera started to mix in kicks. So Sosinski tends to hold his hands low, which will leave him vulnerable to the head kick, and Goran won't be hesitant to throw them. Another area that Sosinski will struggle in is the clinch. It's one of his biggest weapons, and against Brandon Vera, he was able to lock it in, but that was all he could do. Vera's height and strength made it very difficult for Krzysztof to land strikes from that position, and he usually ended up getting reversed. Goran stands at the same height as Vera, presenting similar issues in that area, and the Croatian was able to deal with the 6'6" Kendall Groves clinch, so he should have the same success defending against Sosinski. In the end, I think that Goran will use his head kicks to keep the scrappy Canadian at a distance and get the better of his opponent. So my pick is Goran Reily paying $1.75 to beat Krzysztof Sosinski by stoppage. Our next fight is in the welterweight division between 4-2 Amir Sodola and 8-3 Peter Sabuta. Sabuta, a German national, enters this fight having dropped his opening 2 UFC fights. His opponent, Ultimate Fighter winner Amir Sodola, is coming off his second career defeat and is also looking to rebound. There are no odds posted for this fight, but I don't think it's hard to see that Sodola will be the favorite. First off, the German is a solid kickboxer with 4 career knockouts. He really likes to work on his opponents with his leg kicks, both high and low. He can also take the fight to the mat and has scored 4 submission wins in his career. But in both of his UFC fights, Sabuta struggled in the stand-up against James Wilkes and Paul Taylor. And especially in the Taylor fight, the German appeared to gas early in the second round. Sabuta has shown that he can take a lot of punishment, but he wasn't really able to do much offensively in the later stages of his fights, standing in front of his opponents with his mouth open and consequently being picked apart en route to 2 decision defeats. Amir Sodola has solid stand-up skills. He is a Muay Thai striker that likes to utilize the tie clinch to press his opponents up against the cage and hit them with very effective knees. He's a difficult guy to finish, covers up very well, tucks his chin, and leaves few openings for an opponent to attack. Against Phil Baroni, he weathered the early storm, took some big shots, and then picked him apart for the rest of the fight. Another positive for Sodola is that he can fight a full 15 minutes with good tempo and equal pressure, start to finish. If the fight goes to the ground, he's a very good guard and can effectively attack off his back. He only has 1 submission win, but don't let that fool you, he is quite capable on the mat. Overall, I think that Amir has too many tools for Sabuta to deal with. As I said, if the fight goes to the ground, Amir has the skills to secure a victory regardless of whether he is on top or the bottom. Against Baroni and Blackburn, Amir threw 134 and 87 standing strikes respectively. In his 2 defeats, Sabuta absorbed a total of 46 strikes against Taylor and 38 versus Wilkes, while only dishing out 32 total strikes in the 2 fights combined. The overwhelming volume of Amir's stand-up game will be too much for his opponent, and because of the American striking defense, it will be difficult for Sabuta to catch him with the few number of shots he is able to land. If the fight makes it this far, expect the German fighter to fade early in the second and get picked apart from then on out. So my prediction is Amir Sodola to defeat Peter Sabuta, most likely by decision. Our third fight of the night will feature another crowd favorite as German-born Dennis Sieber, 16-7, will square off a 12-4-1 Andre winner. There are no odds posted to this fight yet. I would expect that winner will be a slight favorite, probably in the $1.65 to $75 range, while Sieber will pay out around $1.85 to $95. First off, Andre Winner is purely a striker, with very fast hands, good movement, and a solid chin. He has a big right hand and has knockout power as he demonstrated in the Reily Delgado fight. Winner will also use the cage to control his opponent when the opportunity arises. His takedown defense is solid and he has good balance. Having watched some of his fights, the first round is always his best round as he has a tendency to slow down as the fight goes into the later stages. Nick Lentz showed that if you can put Winner on his back and keep him there, he will tire quickly. Also, in the Rafael Oliveira fight, Oliveira used vicious leg kicks to take the bounce out of Winner's step, and with no threat of takedowns, Winner's opponents can throw kicks at will. Dennis Sieber is a far more multidimensional fighter. In his career, he has recorded wins by knockout, which makes sense because of his kickboxing background, but what may be a little surprising is that he has 8 submissions. Sieber has the ability to end the fights on the mat and might consider taking it there based on the success that Lentz had against Winner, but I don't foresee that happening. As I said, Sieber is a kickboxer, and before I get into his offensive skills, his defensive abilities will be just as important in this fight. He does a good job of keeping his hands up, tucks his chin, and has only been knocked out once in his career. He is a solid counter-puncher, as he demonstrated in the Hall Kelly fight. Kelly would attack, Sieber would defend, and then return fire with good results. According to UFC.com, in 10 UFC fights, he has avoided 65% of standing strikes from his opponents. Winner will have an advantage in the reach but in this fight, but Sieber will use a straight kick to nullify that. Sieber throws punches from different angles, has nasty power in his legs, and has won 2 fights with a vicious spinning back kick to the body. On top of all this, Sieber can go the distance with no problem. I think that Winner will come out very aggressive, while Sieber will look to counterpunch. Seeing as there's really no threat of Winner taking the German down, I think that Sieber will be able to throw a lot of leg strikes. He will rely on the straight kick and the low kick to take some of the bounce out of the Ultimate Fighter finalists game. Winner is more than capable of ending this fight with one punch if he connects. But if Sieber defends like he is capable of, I think that Andre will expand a lot of energy attacking. This will result in slowing down as the fight progresses. So my prediction for this fight is Dennis Sieber defeating Andre Winner by decision. The co-main event of the evening is in the middleweight division and will feature 18-7 Jorge El Conquistador Rivera and 19-7 Alessio Legionario Sakura. Again, no odds for this fight yet, but I would think it will be fairly close, both in the area of $1.85. Physically, Rivera will be slightly taller and hold a slight reach advantage over the Italian. Alessio Sakura is a solid striker. He has a pro boxing background and 9 career wins by knockout in MMA. He has very good movement and strings together solid combinations. Along with his hands, Sakura's leg kicks can be very dangerous as he stopped Joe Vitapo with a highlight reel head kick. One of the knocks on Sakura is that he has been stopped on multiple occasions, all by power punchers like Drew McFedries, Houston Alexander, and Chris Leben. In each of those fights, Alessio seemed to struggle when his opponents pressured him. More specifically, when opponents get him in the clinch or push him up against the cage, they had great success. While Sakura is a dangerous striker, he will take his opponent down when he needs to, but only holds 2 submission wins, both coming at the start of his career. Jorge Rivera has knocked out 12 opponents, so he too is very proficient on his feet. Conversely, he himself has been knocked out 4 times, including a devastating 14-second KO suffered at the hands of Terry Martin back in 2007, so his chin isn't invincible, which bodes well for Sakura. Offensively, Rivera will use leg kicks, but will rely heavily on his striking. El Conquistador has no issue with taking a shot to make a shot. This, of course, has led to Rivera getting knocked out, but more often than not, he is able to connect. A trend that I have seen in his more successful fights, especially in the Nate Quarry fight, is that Rivera will stand and trade shots, and then if he sees an opening, close the distance and use strikes from the clinch to really put pressure on his opponent. If the fight goes to the mat, Jorge has good ground and pound, which he has used to stop opponents in the past, including Kendall Grove. A big concern for me with Rivera is his gas tank. Despite having success, he has shown limits to his cardio of late, and he is 38 years old, and I wonder if his age isn't catching up with him. When these two fighters step in the cage, I expect fireworks, and I don't think this fight will be a long one. Knockout of the night could come from this contest, as these two have only gone the distance combined 2 times over their last 18 fights. Based on Alessio Sakura's past history with powerful strikers, I don't think this fight is a good matchup for him. If Legionarius is unable to catch Jorge with a big shot early, I think that Rivera will connect with some big power of his own, leading to either strikes from the clinch or some ground and pound. So my prediction for this fight is Jorge Rivera to defeat Alessio Sakura by first round knockout. Moving now to the main event of UFC 122, it is the #1 contender match for the UFC middleweight title. Vitor Belfort was originally scheduled to be part of this fight, but got bumped into the title match with Anderson Silva, so we are left with an equally entertaining matchup between 33-9-2 Nate the Great Marquardt and 26-5 Yushin Thunder Okami. Odds-wise, Marquardt is the favorite, paying $1.44, and Okami the dog at $2.62. Despite being the underdog, Okami is a big 185, very strong, and has shown marked improvement in his skills. He has always been known for his ground and pound, and he's very good at controlling his opponents. Okami is a counter striker that will wait to be attacked and then either return fire or shoot in for a takedown. In his fight with Rich Franklin, Mike Swick, and Chael Sonnen, he showed that he has an iron chin and can absorb a lot of punishment. Early in his UFC career, Okami was very one-dimensional on his feet, with a very simplistic approach to striking and struggled when his opponents pushed the pace of the fight. After losing to Chael Sonnen, Yushin elected to train with Sonnen's Team Quest, and the results have been incredible. Thunder has shown a vast improvement in his striking, and combine that with his excellent grappling skills makes for an even more dangerous fighter. Nate Marquardt has an impressive track record with 8 knockouts and 15 submissions in his career. He's a second-degree BJJ black belt and is very dangerous on the ground. Besides the submissions, he has many other tools he brings into the octagon. Nate has solid takedowns and effective ground and pound, and he's a strong middleweight, so when he gets on top, he is difficult to get away from. On the feet, Marquardt is a dangerous but patient striker who will throw a few strikes here and there while waiting for the right moment to explode. When he does attack, he has a tendency to lead with a Superman punch, follow up with a barrage of strikes, and either lock his opponent in the clinch or take it to the ground for some ground and pound. Defensively, he's elusive. He's very good at circling away and has good cardio, which all equates to not taking a lot of damage in his fights. Fighters like Chael Sonnen have had success against Nate by putting constant pressure on Marquardt and not allowing him to get comfortable. Wilson Govea and most recently Rusimir Paul Harris had their most successful moments of their fights when they pressed the action and forced Nate to react instead of attack. As I mentioned already, these are both very patient fighters, so I would expect a feeling out process early in the fight, but the action won't be far behind. Nate will wait for an opening and lunge in with strikes, but this should play right into the game plan of Okami as he will look to deflect and then attack. Nate does have power, so it will be interesting to see what happens if he connects. If the fight winds up on the mat, Yushin has never been tapped out, but Nate has the skills to pull off the sub. Okami has good takedown defense as demonstrated in the Mark Munoz fight, and even while Chael Sonnen was able to take him down, Okami was able to get back up to his feet, so Nate might not be able to take the fight to the mat the way he wants to. The key to this fight is that Okami is training with Sonnen, who already used takedowns and ground and pound effectively against Marquardt. I would think that Chael will put together a game plan for Yushin that will mimic his fight with Nate. The Japanese fighter certainly has the skills to pull this off, so my prediction for the main event of UFC 122 is Yushin Okami paying $2.62 to defeat Nate Marquardt by decision. So in conclusion, I will be taking Goran Reily at $1.75, Amir Sodola paying roughly $1.25, Dennis Sieber at $1.90, Jorge Rivera at $1.85, and in the main event, I will be taking the underdog Yushin Okami paying $2.62. The betting price is $20.15, dropped down $100, and you'll get a return of just over $2,000. So there are my picks for UFC 122. I've gone 14-4 over the last 3 events, so right now might be a good time to get on board with sportsinteraction.com and make some cash. And before going, please check out our newest affiliate, Monster Rings and Cages. The link is in the description. And if you have a company that you feel could benefit from becoming a Kamikaze Overdrive Prediction affiliate, check out the description for the best way to contact me. So thank you for watching Kamikaze Overdrive MMA Predictions for UFC 122, and I'll see you back here shortly for UFC 123. Kamikaze Overdrive MMA Predictions UFC 122 was brought to you by Monster Rings and Cages.